Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and what I got for you today is a review of the new JXD 510G Predator. Now, the Predator is an update, or an upgrade, I don't know if you call it an upgrade, but an update to the JXD 509G Pioneer. Now, what is the difference between the two? Well, it has slightly different shape if you look at it here, but I'm feeling it might be a little bit lighter also. Maybe that was their intent, is to lower the weight of it a bit. To improve flight performance. But the 510G Predator has a somewhat shape that's somewhat similar, to, inspired by the Tarantula X6. It has this like Tarantula X6 fang on the front of it. Looks a little more outer-worldly, a little more aggressive look to it. That might have been the intent. But the camera is more or less the same on this, and it more or less has the same capabilities of vertical takeoff, vertical landing, and hover, altitude hover in between the two. Both of these have altitude hover capability. Actually, the landing gear on this one looks a little more beefed up than that of the original Pioneer, the 509 Pioneer. Looking at the front of these head-on, this is the difference between the two. A little more sleeker on the 510, a little less wind resistance, I would assume. You know, a little less drag on the quadcopter possibly between the two. Okay, let's go back to focusing on the, I'll put this away now. Now, this quadcopter, as with the 509G, has the capability of altitude hold. It's one of the first quadcopters in the toy grade class to include that, was the 509G, and the 510G continues on with that capability. Why would you want altitude hold? Well, this is an FPV flyer. If you don't have to worry about maintaining altitude, you know, that's one less control that you're fiddling with while you're focusing on trying to fly FPV. So that should make FPV flying somewhat more easy, in effect, to have that altitude hold. So it is a great feature to have with an FPV flyer. Now this, again, is the G version. Now the G version is 5.8 gigahertz FPV. Now 5.8 gigahertz FPV is preferable. In fact, I strongly recommend it over the W version, which is 2.4 gigahertz, which you use your cell phone. The idea of the W version, the Wi-Fi version, is to save money in that you don't have to have the cost of this additional FPV screen. But I'm telling you, this FPV screen is worth it because the Wi-Fi version operates on the same frequency as the controller, 2.4 gigahertz. So you have reduced range of both FPV on your camera phone and control of the quadcopter with the Wi-Fi version. So spend the extra money and get this G version. The G version is much more preferable to, in fact, for all versions. If you're considering any FPV flyer, try to skip the Wi-Fi version and go right to the G versions. You'll thank yourself in the end. So, okay, let's go over the controller. We'll start with the screen. Again, it's a 5.8 gigahertz receiver. I forgot the actual frequency. I'll include it here. I believe it's band E Boscam. It has an on-off switch. It has a power input plug here. You have a sunscreen that usually does not work very well in the sun. So I am also going to include my own homemade sunscreen over here. And for today's flight, we will record the FPV video directly. I'm going to be flying line of sight and recording the FPV so that you can actually see the quadcopter flying, and also I'll include a little window showing the received FPV signal. You can adjust the speed of the quadcopter going from beginner to expert rate by pressing this button here. If you want to do flips, it can do flips. You can press this button here and then tell it which direction to flip. Again, this is your throttle control, and notice that the throttle is spring mounted to the center, which you usually see only in FPV or altitude hold flyers. Center position means that the quadcopter will hold whatever altitude it's at, and you can go up or down from there and then let go, and it will maintain that altitude. This is your pitch and roll, and these are trim buttons for the quadcopter's controls. It does have one key return, which you activate by pressing this button here. It has headless mode, which you activate by pressing this button here. You can turn the lights off on the quadcopter to save battery power by pressing this button here. You can take a photo by pressing this button here, and you can start and stop your video by pressing this button here. And by pressing this button here, that makes the quadcopter enter into idle for takeoff, and you can adjust the throttle and it will climb to the altitude you want. And when after you land, you can turn off the quadcopter by pressing this button here, or doing what I would prefer that you do, is an emergency shutdown by pulling down and out. And I believe this thing also automatically lands if you press this button here. It will descend into a landing. But always remember, down and out will shut off your motors instantly. So practice that a few times. Emergency stop. Okay? That's it, folks. I'm going to get ready here for our flight. Again, I'm going to include sunscreen on the front here and a camera recording the video, the received video from the camera. Hope you enjoy this flight. Let's go do it. One thing I wanted to try before we take off here is, will this quadcopter also work with, say, goggle systems such as this VR007? I'm going to do that first of all. Let's turn on the quadcopter, finding its on-off switch. Where is the on-off switch on this new one? There it is, in the back. And quadcopter is on, turning on the goggles, and the goggles are turned on by inserting the battery so that you get power. And we will hold down this tuning switch. Yep, I saw it there for a second. Hold on. Scanning, scanning. There it is. Let's see if I can get better reception. Holding down the button again. It's scanning. Yep, we have reception, folks. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll put my camera right up to it. But these goggles will work with it. Oh, it works very well, actually. I might want to try this. I'll do that. I'll do another flight with this later. A second flight to show this working with the goggles. But yeah, I can see really nice with that. Okay, turning off the goggles. And let's go right into the quadcopter itself. Goggles are off. And I'm going to turn the quadcopter off and on because I want to reset its headless mode direction. Off in the direction of Owens Peak. Quadcopter is on. Okay, as promised, we have the sunscreen visor attached to the transmitter, or the FPV receiver too. Turning on the camera of the quadcopter and placing the quadcopter on a flat level surface. And turning on the receiver screen and verifying that we got reception. Oh man, we have really nice reception. And turning on the transmitter and binding it with the quadcopter. And let's see here, we want to turn on the video too. I want to record. And are we recording? Looking for the numbers saying that we're recording. And they are there. So we got recording. Let's go for a flight of the Predator. I'm going to put it into, see, that turns it on. And you do your emergency stop that way. So let's turn it back on. Let's take it up. And right now I can tell you it needs trimmed. Going up to about that altitude there. Oh, it flies very nicely. Very stable flyer. Almost GPS stable, but again, I don't have any wind today. So it's a very nice stable flyer. Let's trim it up to the left a bit. And let's go out over the desert here. Now I got jets flying overhead today. They're up about 5,000 feet, but boy are they noisy today. Going up a little bit higher. So you'll hear that every once in a while. Where is he? Yeah, he's about 5,000. He's going to be noisy, I can tell you right now. Let's trim this to the right a bit. A little more to the right. There we go. Showing you him flying by. How's that FPV signal? Nice and good. I'm seeing quite a bit of jello in the FPV signal though. So as with the original, I'm going to higher rate too. The original Predator, or Pioneer. I can't get these two. I can't remember these two. The original Pioneer had that problem too. And I got somewhat of a drift here. Yeah, here we come. That jello. You know, that's just inherent with this particular quadcopter. Let me land this for a second, folks. I need to do a centering of the trim tabs and calibration of this quadcopter. So we are going to land it pulling down on this stick. And I want to land over right about there. And emergency off. Do a quick emergency off when you land. You're still recording. Let's turn off that video. And I want to find a flat level surface. And I'm going to center my trim tabs too, because they've picked up a little bit of a drift. So you bump it. Here's how you center your trim tabs until you hear that long beep. Okay, keep bumping them until you hear a long beep. There. So the trim tabs are centered for pitch and roll. And now, again, am I still? Yeah, I'm still bound. What I'm going to do is go to expert and either go to left. These are standard ways of calibrating your gyros. Okay, either down and left, down and right. Another one is down, left, and up, right. Okay, those gyros should be calibrated now, ready to go. I am starting the motors again and starting the video again. And is the video recording? Video is recording. Let's go up again. Did I do one key return yet? Let's go off in that direction there. Press one key return. This is one key return with the Predator. So it seems to work, but again, remember, one key return, all of it does is fly the opposite direction the quadcopter was pointed when it took off. We'll go do that again. There goes another jet flying overhead. Going downwind, or going down the direction it was pointed, pressing one key return, and the quadcopter flies back. So the one key return works. How about flips? We haven't seen the flips. How high is this guy? I can't even see him, but I sure can hear him. Flips. Yes, it flips. Flips. It does flips. But again, that's not the main feature of this quadcopter. The main feature is its camera and its FPV ability and its altitude hold. That's the biggest feature of this. And the altitude hold is working very well, folks. I don't really have to focus too much on the throttle. I just turn the quadcopter and keep giving it forward pitch, forward movement, and it flies. So it's way out there. Bring it back toward me. How's it going there? It flies very well, by the way. Once I calibrated those gyros, which you might need to do once you receive a quadcopter. That's a good point, good thing to know as to how to calibrate gyros. Because a lot of quadcopters, when they get shipped to you, they go through a lot of bumping and bouncing, and the lights are nice and steady on this. This is flying very nicely, by the way, folks. As you can see there, the wind's blowing it back a bit. There goes another one up high. I wonder what they're doing today. None of my business, though. But this is working real well. Let's take it up high. And high, I mean less than 400 feet, especially with all these jets flying around today. Okay, let's go upwind. This is flying very nicely, folks. Seems to have a lot of flight time, too. And right about there, let's do a rotate. And Wind's blowing it back. There's a heck of a wind up there. I better come down. There's a strong wind up at that level there. Oh, I guess I'm running out of battery juice. Okay, emergency stop. That's what it does when it runs out of battery juice. Turning off the video. It doesn't drop out of the sky, folks. I was up high. What it does is, it does a descent to a landing. And remember, when it does such, you want to turn off those motors by doing that emergency stop. Don't let them continue running. So I'm hoping I got that video. I'm going to press that video button one more time just to make sure. So that's the flight of the Predator 510G. The, I don't know if you call it an upgrade model, but the different shaped version of the Pioneer. Hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out.